Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 33 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the impermanence of life. Now, honestly, going into this episode with a smile, I will say full disclosure though, this episode was inspired by a tragedy that took place earlier this week, and we're going to get into that very soon. So if you have been watching the news, then you know exactly what we're talking about. But if not, stick around.
I mean, I would say...
You're undercutting my intro here.
Oh,
pal.
sorry, my bad. Continue.
Okay,
I'll
anyways, we will touch on that in a second. But also, the reason why you should stick around to the end is because we have, or rather I have, an embarrassing story to tell you guys. So we'll get into that at the end. But anyways, continue.
Well, no, I was going to say, I put on a more colorful hat today, as you guys have seen, maybe to try and bring some light to this episode, because I think it's a very grim topic. I think it's an extremely grim topic.
A bit, yeah. I was going to say, you couldn't have waited until after my intro to mention your hat.
Well, yeah, I know, but I was also going to say about the event you're talking about. I don't know if many people know it.
Okay,
or
well,
I think that people might know the event. I know we're gatekeeping as if we're not about to say this in like 30 seconds anyway, or like a minute. But the point that I was trying to make is that I don't know if a lot of people might have seen the event, but they don't really think about it all that much.
Yeah, well,
You know
that's why we're here. So the event we're talking about is, those of you who are hockey fans will know, but to those of you that don't know, there's a man known as Johnny Gaudreau, and he is actually known as Johnny Hockey, okay? He was a very famous hockey player, played for the Calgary Flames and the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was 31 years old, and he and his brother, who was only 29 years old, they were riding their bikes at night, and they got hit by a drunk driver, and both of them passed away. So it was quite a tragedy to see, especially first thing in the morning. I remember waking up, and this happened, 2 days ago? Or was it yesterday?
No, it's definitely 2 days ago,
Yeah, 2 days ago.
I think.
And I opened Instagram, and I just see in loving memory of Johnny Gaudreau. I could not believe my eyes, especially as someone who grew up watching hockey and, you know, looking up to these players. One of the people that always came to mind when I thought about the Calgary Flames was him. So seeing him pass at such a young age, it's honestly terrifying to know that. And the worst part is, last episode that we uploaded, which was yesterday in theory, I mentioned in it that you are not promised tomorrow. Even though we take it for granted, tomorrow is not promised. Do you remember that? I definitely remember.
No. I was thinking about the fact that... Oh, yeah, we did upload yesterday. Dude,
Yeah.
I was so confused. The times
trip.
and everything, it's messing me up. But, yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah, well, the point is that honestly, the timing on that couldn't have been more absurd, because right after we posted that, obviously it was recorded several days in advance, but right after we posted that is when the whole the situation happened, and then we posted that episode.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that we preach about on this podcast is the fact that you need to cherish your moments, because you don't really know when it's going to end. And, you know, the worst part about that is they were only hours away from being groomsmen at their sister's wedding.
Yep, their sister's wedding was the next day, I believe.
So the fact that you could have everything going so well for you, and then just to lose it all like that, it's honestly really sad. And before I continue on, we honestly just have to say rest in peace to Johnny, and we hope that they are, you know, in a better place now. But regardless, it was shocking. And that incident alone inspired my, thought process on writing this episode. So here we are. So let's get into it.
Oh, you said writing this episode.
Well, I meant like the
Seems
idea
like he's insinuating that we're scripting this, but I assure you we're not. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, I meant more so on the idea of we're actually going to talk about this today.
Wait, what did you say again?
That we wrote. I said that we wrote the idea of this episode. Okay, you're not wrong. I 100% misspoke. However, I'm just saying that's where the idea came from. So rest in peace to Johnny.
Yeah.
And
His brother's name was Matthew, right?
yeah,
Matthew.
I believe Matthew.
It is. Honestly, it's really tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the spontaneity of tragedy is tragic, honestly. It's hard to, sit there and enjoy every moment of your life worrying that it might be your last. I think it's kind of paradoxical because on one hand, you think that because it's all ending, you should be happy, right? You should enjoy every moment. But you live in fear over the fact that it might be ending. You get what I'm saying? So the realization that everything is ending is like a gift and a curse.
Okay, here's a hypothetical for you. You've heard the age-old question of would you rather know how you die or when you die? Out of those two, which one would you choose?
In reality, if I had the ability to pick, I would pick neither because I would never want to know anything.
Good, that's the right
It's
answer.
it's so I hate it. I hate that question because I think both answers are terrible. Because knowing when is just, I think it's better.
Yeah.
The reason is because not because it's good, because that also sucks. I would never want to live my life knowing when I'm gonna die, because it's interesting, but I think that regret, failure, pain, suffering, all these terrible parts are what make life interesting. Because they allow you to, accept the better things easier. If I knew I was going to die, I know it sounds crazy. It doesn't make any sense to say that if I knew I'm going to die, I'm going to do all the things that I would love, right? Before that time frame. So I wouldn't live to see regret or anything, but I think I would have a very boring story. Right? It's like watching a movie, but you know the plot twist at the end. It makes all the parts in the middle so much less exciting.
True.
Right? Because you know how it's going to end. But then, or I guess when it's going to end with life, but if it was a movie analogy, how it's going to end. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like how, actually, I was going to say that, if you've ever been watching a movie or a show, like for me with a show, like I'm nearing the end of a season, like I know something's going to happen. Or I'm watching a movie, like, okay, you know what? I'm going to there's a spoiler here, but if you haven't watched this movie, like, shut up, bro. There's no way I should have to put a spoiler warning.
It's got very political.
I'm
fast.
very angry about having to think about spoiler warnings
Okay,
over
just
movies
spit it
that
out.
are a
What
long
is
time
it?
ago. But with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, right? When you're watching that movie, it's not that new, right?
It's literally on Netflix today, actually, funny enough.
There you go. If it's on Netflix, pause this, go watch it, come back. But the thing with that movie was, sitting in that theater, we watched it on opening day, I believe. Or maybe like a couple days after.
This is the one with the 3, right?
No, that's No Way Home, dude. I'm talking about, like, Miles Morales.
Oh, actually, wait. I think that's been on Netflix for a long time. Then.
No, the second movie.
Okay, then no, it's not on Netflix.
Bro, you're tripping out right now.
No, I don't know. I was thinking of
bro
No
doesn't
Way
know
Home.
his. Oh, okay. I can't believe I said bro doesn't. But yeah, the fact that you don't know your Spider-Man movies is, you should know your Spider-Man movies, okay? But in any case, spoiler warning, it ends in a cliffhanger, right?
Yeah.
So we were all sat there in the theater, watching the movie, and we're like, damn, it's nearing it was like probably 2.5 hours, 3 hours, whatever. It was nearing the end of the movie, and then you see all the characters building up, and you're like, God damn it, I already know that it's gonna end in a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. So like, my problem with that question is the fact that if I know when I'm gonna die, my whole life just seems like it seems like a build up to that point. If you think about life, it should go like, this up, and then like as you get older, it comes down. But if I knew when I was gonna die, I feel like I'd try to make everything a build up, and I don't think I'd have a proper story. But then I can't believe I've spent so long talking about this analogy. But
I was gonna say
this question. But the other side of the question is knowing how you die. You are inevitably. Actually, I don't even understand that concept. Like, you say, like, for example, I'm gonna die in a car crash. What happens if I just never get in a car again, or I never leave my house? Is a car gonna fly out of the sky and hit me? Well, right? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, I'd assume that in that case you can change things, and that's like the whole.
Yeah, so it's a stupid question.
Okay, you know what? Forget the question. Point is, we're all gonna die. Okay, that's the main reason why we're here today. We're talking about the impermanence of life and how to live your life knowing that you're gonna die, because I don't think a lot of us really think about that often enough. And it's the events like these that make you question how you live your life and make you reflect on it the most, right? It's the fact that, oh, what if I was in his shoes? What if I made my whole career playing this sport that I love, and then right before my sister's big day, I'm taken away from this world? Imagine that. If you were in that situation, what would you do, right? And more importantly, would you be happy with the life that you lived up until this point? I don't know if I could say that I have. I would say that nowadays I'm much better off than I used to be, and I'm very grateful for that and happy that I've learned to improve and be present where I am. But a lot of people just assume that tomorrow is promised. But you never know that. At the end of the day, a freak accident could happen. Something could go wrong, and it could all be gone so fast.
It's also the fact that so much of life is out of your control. Right? You don't have complete control over 90% of the factors in your day-to-day life. So no matter how hard you try, you don't, again, tomorrow's not promised. And also, you need to recognize that it's not just not promised for you. That sentence is a mouthful. But it's also not promised for everybody else. I saw this story, and I don't know who the speaker was. And I think it was at a high school, because a lot of the comments were saying every high school should get this talk. And it's a man, and he goes on tours, and he does talks, I assume, because he was talking about how he was on tour once. And he had just done a show, and he went home to where his mom lived. And it was super late. He walks in the door, and she just says, "Hey, can we talk?" He says, "No, I'm really tired. Maybe another time. Okay, I'm really tired right now." Goes to his room, and then she's like, "Please, can we just have one talk?" He's like, "No, I don't want to." Slams his door, goes to sleep. The next, I'm assuming it's the next day. Honestly, the story feels like it's full of holes. But from the teller's perspective, he flies out on tour, and during one of his shows, or at the end of one of his shows, he goes back to his apartment, and at 3 a.m. in the morning, whatever you want to say, somebody comes up and knocks on his door. He opens the door, and I don't know who it was, but it was somebody telling him to call home because there was an emergency. So I'm assuming it's an agent of some kind. Tells him to call home. He calls home, and he's been told that his mother died. And he flew back for her funeral. And he talked about how at the funeral, he couldn't bring himself to walk up to the casket because he was so afraid of facing reality that he brushed off his mother, and now she was gone. That the talk that she wanted to have is never going to happen. He brushed off the fact that everything is impermanent. That at the end of the day, nothing is promised. You never know when you're going to get another day. But what he did say was eventually he worked up the courage to walk up there. And he saw her, because usually when people died, they dress them in white and they put them into the casket. And he said, she looked beautiful just like an angel. And I think he found some grace in that point. And that led him to go on these talks to tell people this, to explain to people that, hey, things aren't promised, so make sure to be grateful for what you have. And also I think it's a two-way street that while that experience is super painful for him, it might spare a lot of other people pain by him being able to, reach out and tell a story.
Yeah. Well, we all learn from stories, right? That's the point, where we intake information and then draw conclusions and change our actions based on that. So my question to all of you would be, after seeing events like this, does it not make you want to reevaluate your life, to reflect and think, am I really happy with it? Now, the thing is, people die every day. That's a fact. People die every single day in tragic ways. Stories end left, right, and center. So you might be wondering, what is the point of cherishing this one death so closely and asking myself whether I'm happy with my life? Well, the way I see it is, you don't get to see the stories of the people that pass away on a daily basis. But when you do get to see the story of someone who does, a celebrity, an actor, hockey player, it makes you reflect because you saw that person. You saw a lot more of their life than you would normally see. So when they're gone, you really feel it. And now the question is, are you going to go back to living your life the same way you did before, or are you going to change and make it better? And there was a quote that I saw that summed it up very, very well. And the quote is, let me find it. Oh, never mind. I wrote it myself. Nope, I lied. I completely lost the quote, and now I've completely lost my train of thought. But you know what I will lead this to? One of the greatest speeches given to man resulted from a tragic incident. Do you want to tell me who it was?
Kanye West.
Bing Pot.
It's too easy.
Those of you that know Kanye's story, he got into a near fatal car accident, okay? Nearly fatal. And barely survived. After that accident, it completely revolutionized how he made music. In fact, on his album, The College Dropout, the last song, I believe, is called Through the Wire. That song, he rapped the whole thing with his jaw wired shut after his surgery. That kind of passion resulted from his near-death experience. The fact that he knew this isn't promised, I could lose it all tomorrow, is what made him change his entire life. It augmented his music and made him create such a beautiful career. And now we have Kanye West, one of the greatest artists of all time. So my point is, when you see these experiences, or these events rather, ask yourself what's important. If you died today, would you be happy with how you lived yesterday? That was the quote I was trying to say. It finally came back to me.
Nice.
I thought about that as I sat in the kitchen and I was thinking about this episode. I thought, that's a perfect way to put it. Because if you did lose it all, when you reflect on it, would you have been happy with how yesterday went? For the most part, I could say, yeah, I got a lot done. I spent time with the people I cared about, and I did the things I loved. But now I'm looking at you. Are you doing the things you love right now? What about yesterday? If you lost it all today, would you be happy with how yesterday went? Or are you going to sit here and tell me that you let other people tell you you can't do what you want to do? I think that that's a shame and a tragedy in and of itself.
I think it's funny because literally, I believe last episode we were talking about how to make every day a great day. And I think that's one of the main reasons that you should make every day a great day, because it might be your last day.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't say that, it might be your last day to be like, to bring grief or, again, fear.
Yeah, I was going
to
say
fear that, it might all end, but instead smile because it might all end.
Well, smile because you don't know when it will end.
Yeah, well, even then, I think that it's what Vision said. A thing isn't beautiful because it lasts. It's beautiful because eventually it will die out.
Mm-hmm.
What you have right now won't be what you have in the future. It's actually what Miyamoto Musashi said. He said, I think it's his quote. He said that a man can never enter the same river twice, because once he enters the second time, the river is different and so is the man. You change as you become better, or you change as time goes on, and you need to let go of the fact that, things happen. You aren't permanent. Even that's kind of an interesting fact, is that while you may die at one point, the character of who you are, your body will die at some point, but the character of who you are dies many times in a lifetime. Right? You change, you evolve as a person. Don't hold on to everything in your life, because a lot of those things will drag you down. It's like pulling a ton of stones in your life. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to keep pulling things that are unnecessary. So sometimes you just got to let go. And it was actually a really cool quote by, I'll let you try and guess who the quote is from.
Okay, go ahead.
But what they said is, if you have a problem right now that won't be a problem a year from now, you didn't have a problem to begin with.
Marcus Aurelius.
It was Andrew Tate.
What?
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't have guessed that either.
I don't know why I guessed Marcus Aurelius. He would have been speaking all Roman. Damn it.
Exactly.
That was a bad guess.
But in any case, I didn't think you were going to guess it. But I really like that quote because he put it into perspective that time heals wounds. That sometimes pain is temporary. Everything is temporary. Feelings are temporary. Happiness is temporary. That's reality. We may preach every day be a good day, and you will try your best. But the reality is, some days you're going to fall. Some days things that you love are going to be taken from you. And the reality is, you have to let time heal that. But if you sat there fixated on every problem, think about the fact that a problem happens on one day. But you focusing on that problem will make it span out for many more. But if you understand that with time, everything will heal, you let that problem be just one day, because that's what it should be. And it was even in a Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know who he was interviewing. It was a woman. And he said that in her book, she wrote about how rumination is one of the biggest problems in today's society, and that's staying fixated on something. It could be anything, but we always talk about our problems and focus on our problems to deal with them, which sounds kind of weird for me to say, ignore your problems, but it means to accept your problems and just let them exist. I saw a quote where they talked about problems like an annoying roommate, that sometimes they do things just to get on your nerves because they feed off of your attention. The only reason that your problems, your fears, your suffering exists is because you continuously acknowledge it. If you really think about it, many of the mental problems we have nowadays are just that, mental problems, right? So they're all in your head and they'll cause you real suffering. But once you understand that they're there to stay, just ignore it. That's one of the things that we've been taught all the time. If a bully's trying to mess with you, just walk away. We've been taught this so many times, but we don't take it into account to our own brain. That sometimes just let it exist. Be aware of who you are. It's like overthinking. To stop overthinking, you need to stop thinking and just exist.
Damn. That's actually a pretty good quote. I did not think about it that way.
Did we not say that on the overthinking episode?
I don't recall that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I don't think I ever said that.
That's a hard quote. I can't lie. You know what? Props for that. But in general, the most important thing when it comes to impermanence is the fact that things change, right? That's the cornerstone of life. Things are constantly evolving and dying. And so as I thought about that for a minute, I formulated 3 facts about life that all of us need to accept and integrate into our lives. All right, let's get it rolling. Number 1, you will die. One day, you will die. So make your days count. Every day is a gift. Cherish it and live with conviction. So the greatest thing, like we already mentioned several times because of the whole inspiration behind this episode, tomorrow is not promised. Focus on today. Make it a great day. All right? Because you're going to die at the end. So the question is, do you want to live a fulfilling life or not? Okay? So number 1. Number 2, we have to learn to let go of things. Holding on to things from the past in an ever-changing world is bad news. Now, the reason why I wrote this down is because impermanence in and of itself is the act of something deteriorating eventually, which it also includes past experiences and memories. You go through something, you learn from it, you move on. I'd say the worst emotion a man can feel or a person can feel is regret. Without a doubt, because it is the one emotion where everything sucks and you can't do anything about it except cast it aside after accepting it. The point is, you want to live without regrets. You want to do your best to live every day to its fullest, like number 1 said. You're going to die, so live to your fullest. But number 2 is saying that if you make mistakes, don't hold on to them because there is a very, very good chance that you will make mistakes. You will mess up a bunch. But just like you are constantly evolving, so is the rest of the world. So you just got to let go of the past and keep moving forward. And that brings us to number 3. Everybody else will die too. Everybody else that you are so intent on impressing will die soon. So when you embarrass yourself, when you make a fool of yourself, when you're trying something new, like trying a podcast, when you make a mistake, your video flops, everything is going wrong, and people look at you and seeing you fail, and you start to doubt yourself because you're worried about what they think, they're going to die one day too. They're going to forget all about you and your podcast and whatever wasn't working. So don't stress about that. Last episode, we talked about not caring what other people think. That's critical to living a healthy life because we wouldn't be here doing this if that was the case. Like I mentioned last episode, we've heard so many people tell us that it's not good or that we shouldn't be doing it because everybody else has a podcast. But regardless, we do it anyways. Why? Because we enjoy it. Because this is how I want to spend my days. I want to be out here pushing some sort of motivational or self-improvement related content. Something that puts a smile on somebody's face somewhere. That's what I want to do.
You know what's funny is I saw another quote, and the quote is, helping one person may not change the world, but it will change the world for that one person. If you think that putting a smile on somebody else's face is insignificant because you didn't revolutionize the entire planet doesn't mean you didn't have an effect. Just because you didn't change the whole world doesn't mean that you didn't do anything. So I'd say you need to smile about your days here. Because first off, you leave impressions on other people. The funny thing is that a lot of the time we value so much of other people's opinions, but we don't realize that we don't value others. Wait, I'm trying to think about it.
You definitely lost me there, and everybody.
I lost
listened.
myself there for a second. But okay, for example, you and I am more concerned with what you think of me than what I think of me. And you are more concerned with what I think of you
Okay.
than you think of yourself.
Yeah.
So we spend more time thinking about each other as opposed to ourselves. And I think that's why we have so many more problems.
Okay, so pretty much we spend more time thinking about other people's perception of us than our own.
Than our own. Exactly. You look outside the glass as opposed to looking in the reflection.
Yeah,
right?
True.
And also, other people's opinions are also temporary. But you treat it as permanent.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, people's memory of you is so impermanent. That's the most impermanent thing. Like, you could do something, like, I wouldn't urge you to do this, but it would be funny because if you went into a mall and did something stupid, like went swimming in the fountain, and then you went home, by next week, if you went to that mall again and walked around, I am willing to bet you nobody would say a damn thing to you. Nobody would be like, oh my God, you're such a goof. You swam in the fountain at the mall. Nobody would say that. You want to know why? Because most of those people forgot or don't care. Most people are so busy going on about their own life that they don't really care about you. And they forget those memories of you because guess what? They're just that, memories. They're impermanent. They're going to go. So don't be so worried about things leaving. Or actually, don't be so concerned on things staying. Because they won't.
Yeah.
Nothing stays forever.
Everything is impermanent.
Exactly. It's what Thor said. The only thing that's permanent is impermanence. It's actually
I definitely feel like that's a Buddhist saying before a Thor saying. I am 1,000% sure. That's like the whole basis of the religion. That's why monks are capable of letting go of their earthly attachments because they understand that none of it is permanent, and that all the happiness you get from these material objects.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing, is that happiness is not eternal. You know what I mean? Like the happiness you can get from finite objects is not infinite.
Yeah, but it's applied to everything.
I find that like I guess I should really speak to like a Buddhist monk about it. But like, because
maybe that's a topic for another day. We'll definitely do that.
Oh yeah, because like the idea of eternal happiness isn't real. That can't be real.
Yeah, well, that's a.
Do you agree with me or disagree with me?
I agree. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Like I think there's just either there's eternal happiness and sadness, or there's eternal nothingness. It's like yin and yang. Or yang, I guess. They need to be like in balance with each other.
Okay, well, sidetrack aside, the last point I was talking about is how we are worried about embarrassing ourselves in front of others. So I think that it is fair that I finally get around to the cornerstone of my embarrassment today. First of all, today has been a peculiar day. That is the only way I can describe it. Honestly, a peculiar day. First of all, slept super late last night. Woke up to my phone ringing at 8 in the morning because somebody was calling for a listing on Facebook Marketplace when I told them specifically, don't call me until 10 a.m. Whatever, they were already outside my house. So I went, sold them the couches. That was the whole situation this morning. I come back home, and everything was chill. Did some video editing, ate. Then we went to the gym. Now, this is the part where everything goes sideways. I went to post the TikTok while we were at the gym, like the TikTok for today, while we were at the gym, because, I hadn't posted it at home. So I go there, and I try to upload it, but the Wi-Fi is dookie trash. So I decide, all right, I'll do it when I come home. I come home from the gym and immediately rush onto Instagram to post because I don't want to miss the golden opportunity for an upload. I rush, I press upload, and just typed out the caption and sent it. Little did I know, that was my personal Instagram account. I just uploaded a reel from our, small podcast onto my main Instagram where 600 people, 500 something people, who don't know that it exists have never seen it. And the worst part is I didn't even realize for about an hour. And it just stayed on my post on my account. And I think it got like 400 views, probably from a bunch of people that actually know me. And the worst part is I don't have any other posts on my Instagram. My Instagram is dead, my personal account. I keep it completely blank because I just like to live my life here on this side of my accounts. I post whatever I want to post, I put it on the Brighter Horizons account because that's what I want to do. I enjoy doing this. I don't really have a need to post things about myself yet. So seeing that go up an hour later was shocking. I went into a full-on panic here because this is on my personal account. A bunch of people don't know. People were already commenting crazy stuff like, oh my God, you guys have a podcast? I didn't know, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know about that. The only, I actually did see one comment was from one of our exchange friends in Italy. And he said, you guys are famous all over Italy now.
Yeah, I know he was joking. But
Yeah,
like,
I know
hey,
he was joking, obviously.
Hey,
But
point is,
actually, one of his comments said Nithic and then a bunch of the greater signs and then Joe Rogan. And he added Joe Rogan. I thought it was pretty funny.
That is very funny.
That put a smile on my face. I was very happy. Shout out to Tommaso Rinaldi,
the GOAT.
the GOAT, the absolute GOAT.
I actually
Italian
sent him
king.
our account so that he'd actually like see the proper account now. But the point is, I was super, super embarrassed and panicked because a lot of these people I know in real life and they actually don't know that we have a podcast. And I just figured that eventually people will find out through organic growth. Because I didn't really want to pump it out on my main account and be like, blah, 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 I have a podcast and be annoying about it. So I was full on freaking out here. Oh my God, these people saw my podcast and everything. What if they think I'm a loser? What if they didn't like the video? What if it's corny? Oh my God, what are they thinking? I sat there for 5 minutes and freaked out. And then I deleted the post, uploaded on the Brighter Horizons account like it was supposed to be. And then I just relaxed for a minute. I just sat down, ate my burrito, and then I sat in it, and I just thought, you know what? I got to take my own advice. I got to calm down. First of all, the embarrassment I'm feeling is natural. Things happen. That's just how it is. So I'm going to embarrass myself at times. But more importantly, these people will forget. Nothing is permanent. So not only will these people's memory of this event not last very long, they'll probably forget by tomorrow, but I'm not going to live in embarrassment for long either. And I'm not going to regret it either. It happened, and now I'm moving on. It's a dead issue to me. The point is, your natural response is going to be embarrassment, panic, fear at first. But once you've analyzed the situation and you understand in a calm, rational manner that it's going to be okay and that things move on with or without you, you can relax and just let go of the situation. So that was my very, very embarrassing story. Now, you might even think, hey, that's not even that embarrassing. You're absolutely right. However,
I was going to say that was absolutely not embarrassing because the way I see it and the way that many people should see it, I'm going to go back. I don't know why I'm so fixated on this analogy, but let's go back to the, swimming in the fountain analogy at the mall.
okay.
Right? You may think it's really stupid and that so many people will laugh at you, but if you really think about it, the amount of people that laugh at you, if you put that in perspective, those people might have a story to tell at dinner time. Something to smile about with their family. Something to laugh about. You accidentally posting the video, of course, to them it doesn't seem like an accident until you delete it, obviously. But maybe that video could have helped them. Somebody that didn't know about it, they see it, they're like, oh, you know what? This is actually, I should take this into my brain. Don't be afraid of people looking at you. Because the reality is people are going to stare. Reality is most of those people are going to forget anyway. It was funny because I saw it was Chris Williamson on his it looked like a YouTube video, not a podcast, but it was a clip. And he said, 3 generations down the line, most people won't even remember who you are. So why not just live your life free of problems? Stop worrying about every little thing that happens because all these things are going to go. All these things are impermanent. Sometimes you just got to live in the now. Live in what you're holding. You hold on to the past and feel pain about that, and you feel fear about the future. But you don't just exist right now. There's nothing to fear right now. There's nothing to be sad about right now. So just smile. Enjoy life because guess what? You ain't got all the time in the world. I think I said that on the last episode too. But
well, I mean, it's a prevalent idea.
Take it to heart that you won't. Tomorrow's not promised, man. Go out there and live your life. put a smile on your face and put a smile on everybody else's face. You know, it was Theo Vaughn on one of his podcasts where he said that, or he was talking to the camera, and what he said was, I hope you woke up today and somebody loved you. And even more so, I hope that person was you. And you know, that one struck a chord with me because the people around you will leave. Somewhere down the line, you will be separated from people around you. Maybe you go to university elsewhere. Maybe you go on a trip somewhere. Maybe you split time with these people. But the one person that you never get to split time with is yourself. So whenever you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, make sure that you can smile at the person you see back. Because that person deserves your love. That person deserves your happiness, and that person sure as hell deserves your time. Because guess what? You two won't be around forever. But you will be together forever. So make sure that you guys smile at each other.
Damn. That's actually a very good point. You know what? It's funny because the main reason I told that story about just now, about what I did, the reason I told that is because I went through something and I panicked, just like a normal person would. But then I took my own advice and I thought, okay, it's not that deep. Let's not get embarrassed. And after the fact, I was thinking to myself, you know what? I saw people who I didn't expect to like that post, and they did. So I was very intrigued by that because I'm assuming that either they found it helpful or they just thought it was cool that I had a podcast. And oddly enough, I did not see, well, not oddly, I'd say, but I didn't see a single bad comment on it. Just a few comments from friends and one that said, look who's back. Funny enough. But the point is, regardless of what kind of mistakes you're making, I'd say it's better to take that leap and try something. And like we always say, it doesn't mean that you're going to be good at it at first, but you have this lifetime to try new things and actually do what you love. So don't waste it. And I don't really know if you could call it God, the universe, divine intervention of some sort, but when you walk through life paying attention to signs, they show up in very interesting ways.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, I would say that if you're out there and you're dreaming about something, I'm sure that if you put the phone down and lived in the moment, you would see signs about what makes you happy and what your true passion is. Today, alone, just when we were going to the gym and coming back, we saw 3 super, super nice cars, including my dream car, which I will leave anonymous for the moment. The point is, seeing that reminded me what kind of person I want to be. Yeah, at the end of the day, that car is not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be here forever. But I want to make damn sure that the time that I do spend on this earth, at least a portion of it will be spent in that dream car. One day I'm going to have it, and one day I'm going to have everything else in this life. But the point is, I enjoy what I do. I pursue what I'm passionate about, and I don't let other people stop me from doing that, even if I make blunders like posting reels on my personal account.
Yeah.
Regardless, do what you love. And that's the bottom line, because you're going to die one day.
And another thing is love the fact that you're not there yet. We always want to be at the destination. Obviously, everybody knows the cliche quote, it's all about the journey, not the destination. But we always want to get to the destination. But you need to appreciate the journey. Smile every day on the path because there's something to smile about. It's like going on a hike. It's what Miyamoto Musashi said. Same way with the hike. You're not going to be the same person going up and down. It's not going to be the same forest going up and down, right? So appreciate this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even if you think about it through our calendar dates, if you really think about it, every day is unique. No day is going to be the same as the last. So why do you live like it? Everything changes, so you have to change too. And don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. And the truth is, when you try to embrace change, you're going to fail. When you try to do new things, you're going to fail. And it goes back to the big quote of the master has tried more times has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. And that's why I'd also urge you guys to read Mastery by Robert Greene. I'm working through it. It's a very tough read. So if you're not a big reader right now, start with some other books and then go to Mastery. I think it's a really great book, but it's a little bit difficult to read. I'd say all of Robert Greene's works are because they're very information dense. So each sentence is just packed with information, which makes it a little bit difficult to understand and break down. But if you take your time, read Mastery, because he goes over a lot of the lives of masterful individuals, people who became masters of their craft. That's basically the whole book, is him breaking down these people's lives. And one common theme is that they never give up. Is that no matter what, they never stop smiling about the fact that they're working towards what they love. No matter what they were doing, they smiled.
Yeah.
Same thing with you, is smile when you fail, because it gives you a chance to pick yourself back up. You know, it's like you always love to see the hero get back up. It's like, you know, you're watching a show and your hero gets hit with whatever, the strongest move ever, they fall on the ground. And you know that smile on your face when they get back up and they keep fighting. So why don't you be like that with your problems? Keep getting up. I'm going like from quote to quote to quote from movies and stuff, but take Rocky. I know neither of us have actually watched the movies. Very tragic. We should definitely watch the Rocky movies. But one of the quotes that he always says is, one of the most famous quotes is, it's not about how hard you can get hit. It's about how hard you can... Wait, what?
It's not about how hard you can hit.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep getting back up.
There you go.
And keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Don't stay stationary, because life will catch up to you. It's like running an endless race. Obviously, you need to take time to enjoy moments, but I'd say keep moving. Imagine you're crossing a stream. You don't know that the next rock is going to be stable. Sometimes you got to jump and fall in the water. That's a part of life. Falling in that cold river is a part of life. Sometimes you got to just take a jump. Try a new thing. Embrace change, because today will never be yesterday, and tomorrow will never be today.
Very good way of putting it. And it's funny. The second you mentioned Rocky, you know what else came to mind? Damn, what's the matter with you, Rock? I'll do it tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. That quote alone gets me going sometimes. Definitely gives me a reason to get up. But I was also thinking about this other reel that I saw where it's just a video of this guy going through his morning routine. He gets out of bed, and there's a little text at the bottom that says, blessing counter.
Oh, I've seen... Yeah.
He gets out of bed, adds 1 to the tally. I have a bed to sleep in at night. He walks around his house, adds another 1. I have a house that I can sleep in and eat and rest. He goes down and has a meal. Another blessing. He puts on his shoes. Another blessing. He gets in his car. Another blessing. He goes to the gym. Another blessing. All these things around us are blessings. It's just that there's no reference for us to look at other people's lives and genuinely reflect on the fact that what we have is so great. So I think it was Andrew Tate who said this as well. He said, none of you people who live in the West have any real problems. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said that none of you have real problems. If you're watching this video on your phone, you have no problems. No real problems. Because if you want to talk real problems, go find somebody with a real problem in a third world country. Tell them your problems, and then ask if they'd swap lives with you, and they'd sign on that dotted line in an instant.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're blessed. So keep that in mind and put it to good use. Make sure you use every single day. That's the whole point, right? And like you were saying with the jumping to rocks analogy, sometimes you have to take risks. I hate that I waited this long to talk about this, but the truth is you have to take risks in life. You can't always play it safe. One big example for us is our trip to Japan. Some of us were just getting out of high school. Most of you were getting out of high school. Obviously, some of us were older, but regardless, it was a big risk for us to try and travel as a large group at that age, especially to Japan, for 2 whole weeks. And yet what? We thought it would be cool. We put in the hours, and we decided to take a risk on it. And everything worked out perfectly. Yeah, we hit some bumps in the road, but regardless, we enjoyed the trip, and it shaped our perspective of the world. Sometimes you need to take risks to understand the world better and to enjoy your life. There's no point living if all you do is sit here and work all day and do nothing else, especially if you don't like your work. Find something you love and then work super hard at it and enjoy your life.
Exactly. You got to enjoy every day. And going back to what you said about, like with how people would trade lives instantly. I saw this quote phrase, I don't know, but the phrase it said that a healthy man wants 1,000 things, but a sick man only wants one. And that put it in perspective to me that, yeah, I want so many things, but there are so many more people out there that need more influential things, meaning that I have those things. You can do this wherever you are. If you go if you really day-to-day life paid attention to the people around you, you would realize how great you have it. Because you'll see the pain and struggling that so many other people go through. For example, for me, is when I see somebody panhandling. I know that a lot of the time, those people, well, I don't want to say this like as it's a blanket statement, but a lot of the time,
they're using that money for things you don't want them to use.
That, and also, sometimes they're not even like homeless. Sometimes they just do it for money. But in any case, to me, it really puts in perspective that, man, I have it all. There's nothing more that I need to wish for. Be happy with what I have. Gratitude. You need to practice it. And the idea that, like, especially in nowadays culture, a lot of thought around gratitude is like, just accept what I am and I'm done. To never change. But it's to accept that you're a character who will grow and change. That's real gratitude. Is to understand that who you are, today isn't who you have to be tomorrow. To understand that you are a character that will change. Be happy for those changes. Be happy for your successes and be happy for your failures because they are what shape you as a person.
And as this episode draws to its conclusion, the biggest things to remember are honestly the fact that you are going to die. Everybody else around you is going to die. So don't let anything stop you from doing what you love. It's funny because saying that everybody's going to die sounds like such a dramatic thing. But I think it's about perspective, realistically. You can think the dark side of, oh my God, I'm going to die, nothing matters. Or you can think the light side of, I'm going to die, I should make the best out of these moments.
You know what's funny? Is if you went down the road and asked any thinking individual, would you want to be immortal? Everybody would say no.
Yeah.
Because they all understand that that's not what you want.
Mm-hmm. There's no satisfaction in a journey that doesn't end.
Exactly. Precisely. Beautifully. But a thing is beautiful because it ends. Who would have thought that Vision was such a genius?
And with that, what do we have now?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as this episode comes to a close, do not click off yet because it is time for Quote
of
the
Week.
Here.
Quote of the Week. As everybody will know this quote, it doesn't matter. It's the most perfect quote I could use to describe this. Nothing in life is promised except death. If you have the opportunity to play this game of life, you need to appreciate every moment. A lot of people don't appreciate their moment until it's past.
I mean, I know it's the Kanye West quote,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm thinking that I might have used that quote of the week.
What?
On my episode with Abby.
No way.
I think I did.
You know what's funny? I figured that when I brought Kanye West up earlier in the episode that you were going to bring up the quote and then I have to say like, don't say it because it's the quote of the week. Regardless, I'm going to go back and actually check that.
We might have to fact check that.
We might have to VOD review it.
And if so, we'll toss in another quote of the week.
Yeah, that's valid.
Obviously.
I actually have like bunches of quotes. Editor's note, this is the second quote of the week because, yes, the quote was already used in a previous episode. So, we're back. Quote of the week. It's a funny thing about life. Once you begin to take note of that which you're grateful for, you begin to lose sight of that which you lack. And this quote is from Germany Kent. And essentially, it's just telling you to be grateful. Let's be honest. If you are grateful for the things you have, it's very easy to overlook what you're missing. And always remember that you got things a lot better than a lot of people. So appreciate what you have and live in the moment.
Also, I mean, I think we should start doing this. Maybe you guys should think the same, but I think we should start putting the quote of the weeks on Instagram.
You know what's crazy? I was actually going to do that. That was the whole point of like the last two episodes. I was going to turn the quote of the weeks into.
Oh, well. I guess you guys are getting a little sneak sneak peeks into what is going to happen. And also, I know we've been teasing something. It's coming up. It's a work in progress, but it's coming up. We're figuring something out right now.
We're in the tinkering process.
Yeah, we're working through it. You know, this is like the stuff that happened before the podcast went live, but now it's happening during the podcast. So we're just doing this to give you guys more information, you know? Yeah, more updates, more positivity, more brighter horizons.
Well, regardless, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Take it away with the outro.
As he said, thank you guys so much for tuning into episode 33 of the Brighter Horizon podcast. Pretty crazy that we're already at episode 33. I'm very grateful that you guys stuck around to the very end. And, you know, just as this podcast comes to an end, so do our lives. So make sure that you go out there, you enjoy your life. Don't live every day like it's your last, as in do stupid things every single day, but understand that the impermanence of life is what gives it value. Enjoy your time here. Wake up, love the person you see in the mirror, and make sure you live a positive life, y'all. Peace out.